Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty B. Dudley.
And I'm Shad Youngblood, as per usual.
Today we will be covering two films. Not per usual, where we usually just cover one film.
Yes.
We decided to watch some films off of Amazon, and we stumbled upon two gems.
Oh, yeah.
They're about 30 years apart, 20 years apart. Really, yeah, around there. And one of them actually I didn't even know existed because I didn't really go looking for things, which is the second movie we're going to talk about. We'll give that intro a proper intro when we come up to it, so it'd be a little surprise. And the first film we're going to discuss is one called Summer of Fear, or
Stranger in the House.
Because, of course, as always, it has two different titles.
Linda Blair in Summer of Fear. A terrifying journey into witchcraft and the occult. The summer began like any other until the arrival of Julia.
Rachel, you remember Julia? Hi, Julia.
Julia is a witch. She is some kind of a witch.
Was it jealousy, or was there more?
Bill, out of your head. You're not my cousin, Julia. Who are you?
Using a wax figure, can one person control another person's mind?
Alone, Rachel struggles to prove her nightmare a reality. A Summer of Fear. A frightening encounter with the supernatural. A Summer of Fear.
So, yes, as you probably heard the whole fucking plot in the trailer, spoiler alert, we should have probably told you that before then, that it was going to be spoiled.
Well, you're hearing it. A lot of the stuff that you get from that is you're seeing it. So you're not going to hear a lot of spoilers on it, mostly.
Yeah, but the main spoiler was...
She didn't. Oh, yeah. Well, she's a witch. Well, we knew that.
Yeah, she's a witch. She's a witch. We don't know that. I didn't know that going in. I had no idea.
Come on. You knew there was some hanky shit going on when Linda Blair was in the movie.
I thought it was like she was like a demon because, of course, as always, I chose a film that had a woman with very crazy Tawny Katian hair. Tawny Katian hair.
Yeah, you got a thing for that. You picked the crazy witch movies. It's not the witch movie, by the way.
Yeah. Hint, hint. ... So this film, pretty crazy, for a made-for-TV movie. This is back in the day where,
this one was from 1978.
Yes, they're made-for-TV movies coming out the woodwork, and as always, it's another occult film. Bum, bum, bum. Because in the 70s, people were crazy about the supernatural, the occult, tarot readings. You got Spock on TV with his creepy show.
In Search of?
Yes, that show creeps me the fuck out. So creepy. I don't even know where to even begin. Well, the film has one actor or actress, I should say, either or, from another film that I've kind of talked about, not a horror film, Valley Girl. And she plays the flirty mom. And this one, she plays Julie, the cousin no one has ever seen. And this is the first time we even have seen her face, not even on a photograph, even though at this time there were definitely photographs being taken.
Well, let's back up and get a little bit of it here. First,
I know, I got ahead of myself.
You got ahead of yourself there. First of all, this is a Wes Craven film.
Yes. Oh, directed by Wes Craven, which is the other reason why I chose it.
Yeah, directed by Wes Craven and based on the book by Lois Duncan, who, of course, did I Know What You Did Last Summer, Killing Mrs. Griffin. Is that it? Or Killing Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Griffin, yes.
Killing Mr. Griffin. And,
AKA Teaching Mrs. Tingle, the film.
Yeah, there's actually a made-for-TV movie of Killing Mr. Griffin, too.
Okay, we need to find that.
And, yeah, a lot of other, like, teen horror, thriller kind of things were written by her. And then, of course, we said it has Linda Blair in it, playing the daughter.
Ray.
At her curly-haired best.
Yes, God bless her hair.
Yeah, that California heat really does things for the curls.
And so does cocaine, because apparently
Yeah.
Linda Blair was all in the white snow in real life. Before this movie, she had done a little time.
Well, still a little probation.
Probation.
But, I mean, come on. When you date Rick James...
Yeah.
There's going to be cocaine. I think that's just on the first date with Rick James. He just brings the cocaine and goes, which hand of cocaine do you want?
It's like McLovin in that movie, what is it, The End of the World, or...
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Where he gets...
Seth Rogen and all of them.
He gets blowed on by Michael Cera, and he's like, blow, baby!
Yeah. So,
he gets blowed in the face. So she probably ended up in some party. He was like, hey, sugar, you that girl that, could twist her neck around? And she was like, yeah, that's me. And he was like, oh, yeah.
I'm Rick James, bitch. And then I just went in with the cocaine.
So, yeah, after knowing that she had, hit the white dust there a little too hard, I was like, man, this movie that just adds so much more magic, pun intended, to the film.
Yeah. So, and then the plot is, at the very beginning, you see, like, I thought it was the car from the movie The Car that we covered previously. You're just seeing the POV of a car driving in. I'm like, oh, shit, the car is back. But no, it's just a family driving in the car, and then they just drive off a cliff about 90 miles an hour and die.
Yes, and this is not a CGI. There was an actual car that just
went over the side and exploded.
Yeah, it exploded amazingly. It's the best shot ever.
And you find out that they had a daughter that was not in the car with them.
Or was she?
Yeah. And she's going to have to go live with her family in California. This family died in Arkansas, or as they keep calling it, the Ozarks.
The Ozarks.
Arkansas and the hill people and the janky talk. Yeah, they get into all that. And she has to go live with them, and that's where you get your girl from Valley Girl, Lee Purcell. She moves in with her family, with the family there in California, which, by the way, they live on like a farm, winery. I'm not sure exactly what it was they lived on out in the mountains of California.
They have a little bit of everything. It was like the beginnings of the Walmart
dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go to move in out there, or she moves in out there with them, and it doesn't take maybe
a day. Literally, it was a day
before shit starts going wrong. Like, I would think if I was an evil witch going somewhere, I would like chill out for a week or two before I started immediately with the spells.
Spoiler alert, she's an evil witch. I don't know if we covered that before.
But yeah, she's an evil witch.
Yeah, she wastes no motherfucking time. She gets there and she's like, oh, I'm afraid of horses. Oh, I just never seen anything so beautiful before in my life. And she's obviously discussing or commenting, I should say, on the way the house looks and how rich they are. And she's completely enthralled by the lifestyle that Ray, her cousin, is living.
How much does your daddy make anyhow?
Yeah.
Real subtle.
And then she sees the photograph of a boy on Linda Blair's Ray's nightstand. And she's just like, she basically, I fucked the shit out of that photo. She was like, whoa, he must be mine. And a day later, he was hers.
And can we talk about, too, the fact that this guy must be like 7 feet tall? Linda Blair's head doesn't come to this guy's nipple.
Yeah, it's way under that. I feel like he just chose to go out with her because she was the perfect height for some other parts of his body. Because she's real short compared to this guy. This guy's like...
Yeah, he looks like when he walks in, it's like a grasshopper coming in the building. He's like got to duck down. He's all knees and elbows as he's coming in. It's crazy.
Here, poor Linda Blair does not catch a break. She has a horse that she loves. She rides horses. And, she has like her best friend. And the best friend did not do well with the, Wicked Witch of the Ozarks that came onto the fucking farm, vineyard, barn, stable place.
Whatever they are. Oh, we should mention that her best friend is played by Fran Drescher.
Yeah, Fran Drescher's first film.
And she still looks and sounds exactly like she did in The Nanny years later.
She didn't change much. I mean, she got a little older, but
the rest of her, it's exactly the same. As soon as I saw her, I was like, is that Fran Drescher? I was like, oh, yeah, it actually is Fran Drescher.
Yeah, it was like, that's definitely her. I don't know what was going on. I wasn't alive at the time. Please tell me, from what you can remember, because I know you weren't that much older, but what was it with the 70s and the occults? Like, what was it a thing? Was it because the hippies were like done being hippies and now they were going to be like all like crystal wearing, tarot card throwing like people, and then they have a whole bunch of other people that are completely scared and like, because let's fast forward to a part in the film which will cover exactly what I'm talking about. There's a part where Linda Blair literally tells her mom, Julie's a freaking witch, okay? Like,
yeah, that's in the trailer we played.
Yeah, she's a witch, and oh yeah, that was a spoiler alert. And the mom like slaps the shit out of her, and it's like, come back when you're done speaking of such filth. Yeah. Like, she just said, like, Julie sucks, like, devil cocks all night long, and she's sleeping, she's rubbing all that devil juice all over the bed sheets. That was her reaction. It was a little strong, I felt like.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's the 70s, so they weren't afraid to show someone just slapping the shit out of their kid for no reason. She's like, oh, you talk some shit about me? Bam! Right upside the head.
Yeah, and I feel like she actually did get slapped. Let's discuss how they may or may not have been a man wearing a very terrible curly wig running around pretending to be Linda Blair in some parts of the film.
Yeah.
Because she gets tousled, literally rolled over by a horse. Like, a horse rolls on over her.
I don't know if that horse made it or not, because that was pretty real. That horse came down the side of a hill, fell, rolled over on Linda Blair's character or whoever was riding that horse. That thing rolled over on them. There was no cutaway, no CGI. That horse rolled over on somebody's ass, and I bet that hurt like hell.
Yeah, I guess movie magic, there could have been a hole that was pre-dug in that area, and when the person rolled into the hole and was hiding in there, and the horse rolled on top of it. Because you don't really see.
It looks pretty real to me.
And then I didn't know like that if the horse like broke his legs in real life, they would euthanize the horse. Literally, there was not even. They didn't even wait 5 fucking seconds. They were like already with the needle. The horse rolled over. The needle was already out. Well, we gotta kill him. I'm like, did they really kill this horse? Because this is a time in the 70s, there was no, like, animal rights. They were just, like, killing monkeys and all kinds of freaking things going on in the films.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, this is a rare African monkey. How does it taste? They didn't give a shit.
Yeah, they were like, you know what? Wes was like, we really don't have that much money to like feed everyone on set, so we're gonna use this horse, then we're gonna kill it, and then we're gonna use it to feed everybody the horse meat, because y'all are eating horse meat right now.
Yeah, and your question about what was it in the 70s with the occult, it was, you had like Rosemary's Baby, and then you had The Exorcist. They're both low budget movies that scared the shit out of people and made a ton of money, so then everybody else was like, I could probably do that. I bet I can make a movie that's 90% in one room and makes $50 million, which back then, when you spent like $10,000 to make the movie, making $50 million, they were never going to work again.
Yeah, that is a lot of money, but there was just so many of them. There's so many occult made-for-TV films. We have already covered, this is the third one that we've covered so far?
And we haven't even got into the one I like that we've got a disc of too, called The Legacy. That one's not made for TV, but it was a theatrical movie. But it's still, another occult witchcraft thing.
Yeah, it was, you were getting your mini film, because the film is very short. It's like an hour-ish.
Yeah.
And you're getting, there was some pretty good, I mean, the contacts that are worn later on by Lee Parnell are pretty good. Like, they look amazing. I wonder, you hear these horror stories of those contacts they have to put in the eye that covers the whole damn eye. I mean, this thing looked like it covered her whole eye.
Yeah, it was like the whole iris was bright red, and then her pupils were like a freaky blue, and it looked uncomfortable just looking at it.
But it looked great. This movie is on Amazon, as I probably mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. And the cover was kind of misleading for me, and so was the trailer, because when they show what I thought was a demonic woman, I guess in a sense, if she's, a witch, that can apply. I thought it was Linda Blair.
Yeah, it was going to be possessed.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe she was like, you know what, I'll do these horror movies, but I'm not going to be the main person that's getting possessed or is going to have whatever. I'm going to be the victim, because she also did Hell Night, which she was a victim. She wasn't the, monstrous thing going around murdering people. And then she did this one, and obviously we can't really say for the Heretic because... She was,
I think this was probably actually just a marketing thing, because, they wanted to show Linda Blair with evil eyes and everything. Like, oh shit, Linda Blair's in this movie. She's going to do something crazy. So I'm sure that's probably what that was, just a marketing thing. Like, where they run the trailer that has scenes that aren't in the movie, and they're like, oh, well, people just love this scene, so they'll drag him in.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they drew me in. That's exactly what I want to watch the film. I was like, oh, Linda Blair's crazy, and then it wasn't Linda Blair at all. It was Lee Parnell, which was fine. She did a great job. Purcell, I'm sorry. She did a great job. The film's, it's corny AF. There's everything cliched about this, like a story like this. You have a young, pretty, you have a young, like, woman coming into the home that's kind of like homely, but you throw some lipstick on her and a dress, and now she's like the fucking best piece of ass anyone's ever seen. All the men lose their fucking mind over her. Linda Blair's boyfriend dumps her. Bye, Linda. Like, bye, Ray. I'm done with you. Starts going out with this freaking girl. Then the girl's making the moves on her, like, uncle, like, which you find out, plot twist later on, but on her uncle, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Why is the uncle, like, literally flirting with her on the dining room table in front of her aunt and, like, her cousins?
Well, at the very beginning of it, too, even Linda Blair is like, to her brother, like, you should take her out to the dance with you. She's cute. Like, this is like your first cousin. I mean, that might be cool in Arkansas, but you guys are in California now. I thought you were better than that.
No, they definitely weren't. They still had that Arkansas mind. They did not leave Arkansas, even though they were born in California.
Yeah, that's pretty... Yeah, I don't understand. There's, like you said, there's that whole, like, cliched genre of that, where it's like the girl comes into the house, and then suddenly, it's like there's a single white female and all that. They come in like, oh, I'm just a plain Jane because I haven't combed my hair, worn lipstick in my life. Suddenly I put on lipstick, comb my hair, and like, damn, girl.
Yeah.
All of them.
Everybody.
Even
the brother.
Even the teen romance movies were that way.
Yeah, but even the little brother who's like 9, he's in it to win it with the Julie. He's playing with her. He's paying more attention. There just comes a point in the movie where, like, no one gives a fuck about Linda Blair. They're like, whatever. She's just a hormonal bitch that's jealous. She's just, even her own father was like, I've been waiting for you to get rid of this jealousy that you have. I'm like, excuse me. She's the only one that sees, who this girl is. She's evil. She's going around talking that she's evil. And her neighbor across the street,
who conveniently is an expert on the occult.
Yeah, he's an occult professor. He knows all about this kind of shit. Who has a random, set of witchcraft books.
Yeah, in the trunk of his car. He's like, let me just go to the trunk of my car and get you these books on witchcraft.
It was like, excuse me, is Hermione's bag in the trunk of the car where it was just, he just put his hand in there and just pulled out what the fuck he needed, like, all of a sudden, because it was like, oh, here, I just randomly have these, encyclopedia of witchcraft that's gonna totally help you in this matter.
Yeah, it won't be any problem. It'll be fine.
And the worst part of the movie, aka the funniest part for me, was when Ray is literally telling her cousin Julie everything that she's gonna do to like try to like uncover the fact that she's a witch and get her family to like listen to her and to get her family back and her boyfriend back. And she literally gives away all the fucking deets. So of course you just gave the ammunition. What do you think? She was like, oh, I have someone that's gonna help me, and he's a professor and he's my family's friend. What are you talking about, man? You guys just met outside. Like, literally 2 days ago, you introduced your cousin Julie to the professor that lives right across the street.
So what do you think this witch, who has already, like, killed a horse, took your boyfriend, is trying to hump your dad, what do you think she's going to do? Oh, I bet that old man's having a heart attack.
She pulled her fucking shirt up, and he fucking just had a heart attack. He was like, I never seen witch titties.
Yeah, she didn't have to use actual witchcraft on him.
She had like, pentagram nipples that got him. That's what it was.
Yeah, so, yeah, and you can imagine how this is going to turn out, too.
It turns out exactly how you think it's going to turn out. The mom thinks, she starts getting, like, oh, man, maybe there is something weird going on, and starts sneaking behind shadows, watching her husband eat a bowl of, like, fruit. I think there were grapes with his AKA niece, or I'm sorry, niece, and in front of the open refrigerator, like
in the middle of the night.
Like, they don't have to fucking pay bills. He's that rich. Oh, because he's a stockbroker, so I guess he is. He's that rich that he could just leave the fucking refrigerator door wide open while he's standing in front of it eating a bowl of grapes with his niece, and she's in her nightgown, and they're like really awkwardly like standing in front of each other, giggling in the midnight. Here comes the mom wearing like the most beautiful like black Morticia Addams like lingerie.
Yeah, she got this at Morticia Addams' garage sale.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a garage sale. That shit was fancy AF. She looked gorgeous. I was like, oh, she's trying to get some. She even smiled when she heard her husband laughing, like, oh, he's happy. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna try to get my groove on. Little did she know until she sees, yeah, he's already getting his groove on by your niece.
Yeah.
Gross. And what else?
This is when the mom starts to get a little suspicious, even though now she slaps the shit out of the daughter for saying anything like that that the niece might be a witch, but it's like, you just saw her trying to seduce your husband. You don't think there's anything a little witchy about that, a little odd? But apparently not.
No. The poor man across the street, he had his heart attack. He goes away to the, he gets taken away to the hospital. And Linda Blair and the whole family go visit him. And, he's like he's unconscious. And
he's coming in and out of it.
Julie, she enters the room and his heart rate starts rising and they're freaking out. And then they all get kicked out. The nurse is like, y'all got to get out of here. It's time for him to rest. When Linda Blair comes back, he has awakened from his slumber. And he's like, oh, yeah, she's a witch. Like, I believe what you're saying. Like, yeah, she's a witch. And he gives her, like, a little piece of advice, which was like, witches don't like to be photographed. And you're not going to be able, they're basically like vampires. You're not going to be able to see her reflection. So, of course, we did leave this out. The mom happens to be a photographer. And she needs a model to model whatever she's doing. So she gets...
Yeah, oddly enough, they weren't modeling anything. They were just posing out in front of the tree.
Yeah, they were modeling their fucking 70s jeans and their hair. That's what they were modeling. I don't know. It was kind of weird because they weren't holding anything. And it was just like... They were just action shots. Like casual shots. Like you would see like in a JCPenney fucking catalog.
Yeah.
And, Levi jeans and whatnot. Wrangler jeans. Whatever was hot at the time. And... oh my goodness, let me tell you, these photographs, once they get developed, they are hilarious. I'm like, can I have a copy of one of those? It's just a guy, literally, he looks like, he looks crazy because he has his arm wrapped around her, but there's no one there.
Yeah.
There's no one there. And that's when all shit breaks loose because Linda Blair is the one, she's impatient. She can't wait for her mom to, do these photos after she just got bitch slapped. her mom is not gonna like rush to see the photos to see, oh, is she gonna have an image in the photos? Is she a witch? So she uncovers this, and that's when, you know, she had just finished like fucking the dad upstairs because he got her like the same Morticia Adams like lingerie he gives her. It was the same one the mom was wearing,
and she just happens to be wearing that still.
And she just like jumps out of nowhere. You know, for a movie of this age, there were like a couple of jump scares. They were pretty good too. They were very unexpected. The music didn't really play that much beforehand to let you know that there was going to be a jump scare, but then also at the same time, they weren't forced jump scares.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they were
they were pretty good.
They were pretty natural. They got me a couple of times.
I love how they, like, she's a witch, she can do all these things, but when she comes downstairs, she's like, nope, I'm just going to kick your ass old school.
Yeah, it is the best
girl fight.
Witch versus hair, because that's all that I remember from the fight is Linda Blair's like mane tossing in the wind from side to side.
Yeah, there's hair being pulled, slapped. Oh, she tries to get her with the like old-fashioned paper cutter.
Oh yeah, she tries to chop her head off with that motherfucker. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. But then Linda Blair locks her in a room, and she's like, oh, you're not going to lock me in a room. I will just use my witchcraft to blow the shit out of this door like a fucking bazooka. Like, well, why wouldn't you do that instead of fighting her? Why wouldn't you just use that power on her?
No, because I don't know. Maybe she called onto the elements because the whole, like, studio was going to burn down. It was like the chemicals had spilled or whatever, and she was burning in there. Maybe she used the fire element to like give her the power.
I know, because they never really mentioned what happened to that. The house looked okay later.
No, it was just like the house was like 9 acres. Like it was just one little fucking room, the little, what is it, a dark room in the house that got messed up. Or did it? Maybe it was on an illusion. And she calls telepathically, which they don't. There wasn't like a link that you hear overhead or anything like that, but she calls on the father, Tom, to help her get out of this door that Linda Blair had like stuck her in the room. And the dad comes down and he's like, please don't make me do this or whatever. Like he was going to kill his own daughter, and they start fighting, and then he gets dropped, you know.
Yeah, they drop kick him.
He's unconscious. That's when she burst through the fucking door. There was a lot of things happening within the last, as per always, in the last like 20 minutes of the film. That's when all hell breaks loose, because this has literally been like a paranoid drama the whole time.
You know what I think it is that in these made-for-TV movies like this, they had to have commercials every so often, and this was like, there was the commercial break before this, and then this was going to be the last like 20 minutes of the movie where they didn't have a commercial. It was going to be like non-stop action. So they didn't want you getting up and going to the bathroom. They're going to put all the crazy shit in the last like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, probably. The film was a made-for-TV movie, and it did so well it actually went to a theatrical for a while, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, they would do that for a lot of them.
Now.
They do it overseas with some of them, where there's like TV pilots that they don't like. It was like a 2-hour pilot that they don't do well. They just release them overseas, like theatrically, some of them, but not a lot. But here, so after she runs away from the witch, she runs up and gets her boyfriend, or I'm sorry, her ex at this point. She's like, just drive. We got to get out of here. He's like, okay. So he just starts driving. Then Lee Purcell comes up in like the Morticia outfit with the full-on creepy eyes and is chasing him in the car, trying to ram him off the road. She's using her witch powers to roll up the windows, floor the gas pedal. He can't take the car out of drive. She's like doing all this stuff. At no point does she ever make the wheel just whip him off the side of the road, because she's going to do that herself. There's some pretty crazy stunt driving at the end there.
Yeah, there's a pretty crazy stunt driving. It's like, oh my god, this is like real. It doesn't look fake to me, even though part of it was like they were just sitting in the car while it was like moving and whatnot.
Yeah, but
there
were actual cars getting knocked together in this, though.
Oh yeah, well obviously we have that fucking footage of the one. I mean, several times a car just went over the mountain and just burst into fucking flames.
Yeah, they don't play around. In the old schools, they used to have to crash the car and burn if they did.
I would have never guessed this was a Wes Craven film if I didn't see it like in my eyes. He doesn't have a real specific style at all. It's just all very generic. Like you can tell like a John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
But you really can't tell from a Wes Craven movie. Not that there's anything bad, but to me there isn't like a specific technique that he uses with his camera work. So you really don't get much of it at this point. And then, this is like before all the Nightmare on Elm Street craze. So he's just starting out.
Yeah, I think he may have done The Hills Have Eyes, and then maybe one more like Last House on the Left or something before that. But so for him, this is probably going to be a pretty tame entry into everything because, no one was getting eaten or raped or.
Yeah, nothing crazy was going on. I mean, besides
it was crazy
like
stuff,
Demon
but
Eyes.
Yeah, there wasn't like blood and guts like his others.
Yeah, well, Julie, she was going after Linda Blair and the boyfriend, and she was also, like, unbeknownst, she also had her magical workings going against the mom, who was in a car coming back home. And I guess her whole goal was that, she wanted to hand the rocks to cradle this family. She wanted to be the mom, but be everything, where she kills, the boyfriend, she kills the daughter, she kills the mom, and all that's left is the dad because he's the one with all the money. At the end of the day, he's the one that's
she'll ship the young son off to military school. Yeah,
she's not really gonna kill the kid. So he's, harmless. He's not getting in the way of anything, but these other people are. And she tries to take him out, but unfortunately it doesn't work out well for her. And she ends up, almost colliding with the mom because they're coming in from opposite directions. Now that I'm thinking about it, Lois Duncan has like she has an obsession with cliffs. And like mount, because the same thing happens. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
And Killing Mr. Griffin takes place like up in the mountains too.
Yeah, so there's something going on with like maybe something happened like in the mountains or like coming down like a canyon or something, because it's too coincidental that you have those two stories where the shit breaks loose in that one specific area. Yeah. And Julie, she doesn't make it. She goes over the cliff and bursts into flames.
Yep, because all cars immediately explode when they drive over a cliff.
It's when they hit that corner of the front bumper that's the trigger. It's like whoosh,
open in flames.
Open in flames, yeah. And
but did she though?
Well,
we'll keep that to ourselves. But you'll just watch the movie and find out: did she die or did she not?
Yeah, if you're really into made-for-TV films in the 70s and like what's going on with the occult, it was a pretty decent movie. I mean, it's a slow burn, but you get, somewhat payoff in the end. And it was just enjoyable just to watch because it doesn't take itself too seriously, but yet at the same time, the acting is okay. It's not the worst acting ever. It's made-for-TV movie, so you're going to get what you're going to get for that kind of thing. I give it one cough. That's what I give it. I give it 2.5 stars. Knives.
Yeah, you get your knives and stars confused.
I know. It's because of the, knives. I'm thinking about like ninjas.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 2.5 knives too.
2.5 knives.
All right, and our next one, it also took place in the 70s. Well, from the 70s all the way up to the 80s. Even though the people in the movie didn't seem to age that much. But anyhow, and it is The Haunted from 1991.
What does it want with us? It wants to kill you. The Haunted. No one believes in ghosts. Until they have to.
Now, this was inspired by the Smurl hauntings, which you may or may not be aware that, dun dun dun, it's The Conjuring. This is the story of, based on the novel, of the Smurl hauntings that occurred during,
74 to 89.
A long fuck time in Pennsylvania. The family moves into this house. They start, experiencing, after a couple of years of living in there, weird, like smelling weird smells, and weird shit starts happening to them. And the Warrens have to come and basically save the day.
Yep, the Warrens come do an investigation. They get priests in to do investigations. There's all your typical elements are there. Everybody's taking a look at this house.
And let me tell you, it's also another slow burn. It has its, parts here and there, but there are just one scene, man, that I'm never gonna forget, and it really is fucked up. I mean,
this is apparently something that they claim happened.
Yeah, I don't think at that time. I mean, the film came out in 91. I don't think at this time frame, like from that 74 to like 89, that a man would come out and state this kind of thing. Like, I would have kept that deep in my fucking like deepest, darkest fucking secrets of what happened. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just to give an overview of the film, the film has some, typical made-for-TV film, like 70 stars in it. And
even though it's the 90s, but most of these people were big in the 70s.
Yes. Even though it's the 90s. It looks 90s. It reminded me of the Steven Spielberg Amazing Stories. It has like, there's something about like the early 90s that's still like late 80s, where it looks all the same, like kind of like that movie that I despise that everyone loves during Christmas with the this tongue and the pole. That movie,
A Christmas Story.
Yes, A Christmas Story. It kind of has like that weird look for me. Not the like the pink color like filter, but it's something weird with, I think it's the way the camera moves and like the tones. The house is completely like 90s. It is just wackadoodle decor. And it's good to like watch the film just for like the set design. I like to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's in the 90s and they're trying to recreate the 70s, but I don't know like that they really got it right, because like you said, it does look like a 90s kind of house, even 80s 90s kind of house, even though it's supposed to be the 70s.
Yeah,
at least to start, because even in the movie they kind of show that like some time passes, a few years go by with everything, and then there's times when nothing happens for a while and then it picks back up again. But there's a few people in it that you recognize. Jeffrey DeMunn, who's been in a shitload of Stephen King adaptations like The Mist, The Shawshank Redemption, Storm of the Century. He was in The Walking Dead. He was Dale for the first couple of seasons on that. And he is the character that we were talking about that I'm surprised that this came out, but his character actually gets raped by a ghost in the house.
Yeah, they show this. I'm gonna tell you that I was watching it, but I was like, this is not happening. This is not happening, because it's a very uncomfortable scene. He's watching TV, and the POV is from a woman, you assume, is coming down the stairs, because all you see is her hand like touching, like going down the railing, looking down at him, and she approaches him, and he stands up because he recognizes like, who the fuck is this? And then he gets picked up and thrown across the room, and then this being, who's a woman wearing like a nightgown, like jumps on top of him, and her teeth are like all rotting and gross. And the image of her face, like her whole body changes within like, I don't know, like seconds. She's a woman, and then she's a man wearing a really terrible wig, like really bad. And then it's another man wearing the same wig. And it's like, he's like a really heavy set man, and then like a regular man, and then like the woman again. And it's like constantly changing. But while that's happening, there is gyrating, grunting, the father struggling to like get out of the situation, like anyone would in the situation, man or woman. And it is like, holy fudge nuts. This is happening, and this was a made-for-TV movie. Like, I was totally blown away that they would even show that. Because, I mean, we all saw The Conjuring. That did not happen in The Conjuring.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be the same family from The Conjuring, though.
It is the same family.
No, I think it's just another family that they helped out. I don't think it's the same family.
Okay.
I think it's just another family that they helped out. I have to look to see, but I don't think it's supposed to be the same family. I think it's just another family they helped out.
I took it as it was the same family because The Conjuring is based off the novel by Richard what's-his-face, which was the whatever the name of this novel is.
Maybe they did. I thought maybe it was another one that they had investigated.
But nevertheless, the Warrens come in.
Oh, we forgot the part. I love right after this happens to the dad, they cut to the next day and they're just sitting around the table talking to the Warrens and to the priest, and they're just all very casually. Oh yeah, sometimes the demon rapes people. That happens.
Yeah, well, no.
You couldn't have mentioned that shit before? I mean, you knew there were raping demons around and you didn't think to mention that?
It was like, thanks, Ed Warren, for not mentioning that when we met in the college when I visited you, that might be something, especially when I have like 29 children living in the house.
Yeah, you might want to mention that sometimes these demons are rapists.
Yeah, and the ghosts are actually attacking and going after the mom. I don't know if it was because she was a stay-at-home mom, so she was always home. They had kind of like a mother-in-law kind of like suite going on because his parents lived next door to them.
Yeah, it was kind of like almost a little like attached house, kind of.
Yes, and the mom would see this like whenever they show the apparition, it was like a black bubbly like
like a miniature version of the smoke monster from Lost.
Yeah, it was just floating around, going through the walls and whatnot, and then you would occasionally see maybe like an image. They asked for help. They asked their church for help because they were church-going people, that were there like every Sunday, and the church, snubbed their noses even after the priest himself is like, oh, you guys need like marriage counseling. That's what's going on. You need to help your marriage, which is like that. I'm telling you, got a ghost. This has nothing to do with my marriage.
By the way, for all you Star Trek fans out there, the priest is played by the Andorian ambassador from the original Star Trek series. His voice kept bothering me because it sounded so familiar. And I was like, why is that guy's voice so familiar? I looked it up. Oh, okay. He was the Andorian ambassador in Journey to Babel.
Yes, and let me tell you that I was so frustrated. I wanted to punch him in the face. I was like, what are you talking about? They don't need marriage counseling. Even the mom is like, and it's because they're such like a close-knit family. They're really, into their religion, and they have so much faith that they don't even question the guy. Like, she does mention like, oh no, that's not what it is. Like, I'm telling you, it's a ghost. But even the mom is like cowardly, like, oh, I can't go against the priest because, he's going to smite me and tell me to do like 500 Hail Marys. But he goes upstairs to like cleanse, to check it out. And when he checks it out, he sees like an image of some like colonial woman.
Yeah.
He's like sweating. He could barely like breathe up there. It's like too heavy. The air is heavy. And he doesn't know what to do with himself.
But still, let's wait a little while before we call in the exorcist. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely not fine. I'm going to tell you right now, it was not a fine situation. It was a creepy, rapey, weird, egg-smelling house that should have been totally exorcised as soon as he came through the door. But they were snubbed from the church, and that's when they had, to go to the Warrens. And they were seeking their help, and they live in a completely other state, so there was a lot of phone calls going back and forth, and they try to visit as much as they can. And there comes another point in the movie, the second part that I really enjoyed, that I thought was really creepy, was when they went away camping.
Yeah, they thought, okay, well, we'll just let the house go for a little while. We'll get out of there and we'll go out to the woods and camp. Nobody will find us out there. Spoiler alert, the ghost knows where you went.
Yeah, the ghost follows them, and while this is happening, back in their neighborhood, was kind of like the ending of Poltergeist situation, where all the neighbors are seeing all the shit go down, and it's like crazy shit going down in the house. The house,
and the neighbors all know they're gone.
yes,
They know there's nobody in the house, but like lights are flashing, the doors are slamming.
there's people moaning and screaming, and it was so cool because they show it in such a simple effect. They show the whole house is lit, but it's going in and out, and there's the shadows of people banging on the windows, and it just looks so creepy. And like the light was like kind of like orangey and weird, and you hear like like banging, and you can see all of this from the street, and the people are like freaking the fuck out, like what's going on in this house. Like you cannot not have heard what was going on in the house, even if you were in your house. That's how loud this commotion was. I guess the ghosts were like really pissed off that the people left the house.
Yeah, you don't want to abandon a ghost. They don't take that shit well.
No, they did not. It was like, you abandoned me, and now I will totally embarrass you in front of the whole neighborhood, and now everyone knows you have a fucking ghost. There's no hiding it. Yeah, after that incident, that's when they get bombarded with the media, and a whole bunch of when they finally released and went to the news because they needed help, and they were like, you know what, we're just gonna have to go and tell everybody in the world what's happening to us because no one believes us. And they go that route, and of course you get the crazies wanting to go into the house, and people throwing bricks in the window, ostracizing you, and a whole bunch of people throwing accusations at you, until there is people in the community that came over all together with their like candles lit, walking through the streets hand by hand to come and pray for like hours in the house. And that kind of like quieted the house for some time, and then they were finally able to like leave after all those years of having to go through all that crazy stuff. Little did they know, they moved into the new house. She's unpacking, and you think everything is going to be right in the world, and then what happened in the beginning of the film is happening now. She's putting away laundry in the beginning of the film, and she hears like her mother-in-law's voice calling her, but she doesn't see her anywhere. And that was like the first encounter with a ghost. And this same thing happens at the new house. So the ghost has now followed them, and they kind of, that's why I took it was kind of like The Conjuring, because in The Conjuring, the mom was the one that had finally like gotten possessed. The mom didn't get possessed in this one, but the ghost is so like it was like touching her when she was sleeping and rubbing on her and fucking with her mind the whole
Flipping
time.
her up on the ceiling, Nightmare on Elm Street style.
Yeah, and like making her feel isolated and just completely paranoid. No one believed her. So it was just like that whole like the beginnings of possession, before you just are open and susceptible to it, and you can become completely possessed. But it was a pretty decent made for TV movie.
Yeah, and then they just kind of say it, like recap briefly at the end, and the thing that the hauntings went on even after they moved to the new place for several more years before they just finally stopped.
Yeah, which is like I guess they were tired. They're like, we're tired. We're gonna stop haunting you now. And the movie, in the movie, Lorraine Warren's actually in there. She plays one of the people that are on the lawn, like a reporter that faints. So you kind of get a little cameo there. And the Warrens kind of had a hand in making the film.
Yeah, they helped write the screenplay.
So it's just interesting to see, because at the 70s, you also get the Amityville horror, which they don't really mention the Warrens at all. Even though they did, they have that whole footage with the little boy running around like the stairs or whatever, like going into the room and whatnot. And they discuss that many times, but it's so creepy, like how people, a lot of them were like, oh, they were just wanted money and attention, and they owed all these bills, and all this stuff, and they wanted to get all that. But I feel like I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm a man and I got raped by a ghost. That's not something I'm going around telling anybody unless it happened.
Yeah.
Like, now, if someone were to tell you that, I'm like, nah, you're just trying to get Instagram. Like, you're just trying to get clicks. There was nothing to get back then. Like, what were they going to get? Like, they were going to go on Geraldo? Like, what? Maybe they did go on Geraldo. Maybe they were on, like, some crazy show like that. But I couldn't see that they would have gotten, like, any, like, large sums of money for any of that.
They weren't. This one didn't seem like they were people that were in it for the money.
No, they were just being, like, completely terrorized by this, house that had all these kind of ghosts. They were all different ones. There was the crazy woman and a man and colonial women. They had a whole bunch of. They had all the spectrum of them all over the place, and there were some rapey, creepy tendencies.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely check this one out. Personally, I would give this one like a 3.5 knives.
Yeah, I give it 3 knives. It was pretty decent. You should definitely check it out. Thanks again for listening to our crazy podcast, where we go and cover different films, classic, culty, old, modern, all over the place, anything horror really. And, thank you so much. Leave a review, comment, stars, whatever, anything on any of the platforms, YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.